Adelaide Hills, the country leagues, the amateur leagues, and all the junior leagues, all the best. On behalf of Uncle Bix and Uncle Seymour, we wish you all the best. The Paisley Paynham Union.
Yeah, this weekend coming up. No doubt about that. Don't go anywhere. Still more to come on the Fiveaa Sports Show.
This evening on 5AA, Adelaide Oval hits fever pitch as the Crows take on Geelong for a 2017 AFL Grand Final.
2-1 here. Should be all Adelaide. They are on fire.
5AA for finals football. Live and local for every Crows game.
South Australia taken charge of our energy future. We've now got greater control, avoiding unnecessary blackouts. We've got backup power this summer with largest lithium-ion battery and a state-owned power plant. And our new solar thermal plant will put downward pressure on prices for all of us. Bring cleaner, more reliable, more affordable power. We're delivering South Australian power for South Australians. To find out more, visit ln.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
Brodie Smith here, proud ambassador for Murray Bridge Toyota. Why would you Murray Bridge to buy a Toyota? Good question. I'll answer it with 2 words: concierge care. At Murray Bridge Toyota, we give you care. 5-star personal service to ensure your experience is fun and hassle-free without the pressure. See Rick and our awesome team today. MurrayBridgeToyota.com.au. In every way, we deliver.
If you're feeling happy today, there could be a very good reason for that. It's the AFL Prelim final weekend, and of course Adelaide are playing Geelong, and you can see it live on Fox Footy from 6:30 tonight with no ad breaks, siren to siren. What's not to love about that? And what's not to love finals footy? If you can't get to the ground, nothing beats watching the AFL finals without being interrupted. Catch every game live this with no ad breaks, siren to siren on Fox Footy. And if you don't have Fox Footy, not a problem. Go to get.foxfooty.au and sign up to their 2-week free trial. You can start streaming the 2017 AFL finals within minutes. That website again, foxfooty.com.au.
Kick off the most exciting day on the Australian sporting calendar at the iconic Mazda North Melbourne Breakfast with a panel featuring AFL CEO Gillon McLachlan, Premiership heroes Matthew Boyd and Josh Gibson, and AFLW MVP. It's definitely one event you don't want to miss. The morning includes performances by Mark Seymour and comedians Titus O'Reilly and Peter Hellier. Include gourmet breakfast and premium beverages, but limited remain. Book yours now at nmfc.com.au. or call 1300 Kangas.
My name's Chris Hansen and I'm born and bred in South Australia. I've been a builder now for over 30 years. I'm worried about the outlook on businesses and jobs. Where is the work going to come from in South Australia? What we really need here is new investment, not a bank tax. If we have a tax put on banks, it's just going to have a knock-on effect and make things so much harder. We need more jobs, not taxes.
Spoken by C. Hansen, authorised by Tony Pearson, ABA Sydney.
The Beta Birdwood Classic is just around the corner. Sunday, get out and line the streets as one of the world's great historic motoring events travels across Adelaide. Over 1,700 classes will journey from West Beach through Victoria Square, the northeastern suburbs and the hills via Lower Northeast Road all the way to the National Motor Museum Birdwood. Go to betabirdwood.com.au. Thanks to $13.95, Adelaide's 5AA.
In the lead-up to the Crows-Cats prelim final, this is the 5AA Sports Show, live from Adelaide Oval. Thanks to Agostino Mitsubishi for the best deals, best service, best experience. Nailsworth and Elizabeth. www.agostino.com.au.
Oh, a bit of David Bowie. Yeah, it's Rowie and Vix. We are live over the prelim final. Just looking out over Adelaide Oval, the lights are on. There's about a group of about 15 players at the Riverbank stand in there. The Cross on the outer side, well, the eastern wing. Geelong players are walking as a team along down towards the Cathedral end. They'll come back, get in there in this minute. Duty's done. This is squeaky bum time, I'm telling you, Bix. I'm getting nervous. The big call, 7:20 game will start, sold out. Order's text line at 0448 08 1395. Keep them coming in. You got a ripper there from Florence, Mix.
Yeah, it's the feedback line. This one's on Twitter. Alfredo Ramos says, listening to you guys from Florence, Italy. Go the Crows. Hopefully he's going to find a place to watch the game in Florence. And also another one here from Ryan Harris saying, calm the Crows, hashtag Year of the Crows. So we've spoken to Nick Percat, Aaron Phillips, so all the I guess you would call them high-profile satellite Crows supporters from all around Australia, all getting behind their team. It's absolutely fantastic.
Our Big's Bullseye was $200. Powell's voucher, Paraford or Sam and Jamie, get out and see the team. We've got a number of entries in there. Predominantly Crows favoured and predominantly Bix. There's a rule between 19 points and 27. Now, if that's any gauge, I'm just saying, is that any gauge?
Yeah, look.
I was 17 points.
Yeah, close. I think I said 8 points. We had Cameron Ling on. He said under a kick. We had Robbo, who was thinking maybe Geelong by just over a goal. I think he said, look, most of the judgment, I think the line is somewhere around 17 points. Most people think this is going to be in the balance right at the very end. Wouldn't doubt that for 1 second. I don't think at any stage with these two teams is there going to be much of a blowout. So going to be a very nerve-wracking game, I suspect.
I know this for a fact. There's not going to be any surprises from the coach's box. I think you know exactly what Chris Scott will do. He's out there just walking back into the race. You know Buse will go to Eddie. You know they'll attack Walker, all of them. Lonergan will get him. Lynch, they like to down, whether it's Mackie, whether it's Collar-Jasny. Sloan will get either a Blitz Calves or a Scott Selwood. Matt Crouch will get the other one. They'll try and stop. Here's the key for me, and we'll talk about this more after 6 o'clock. It's the other players that I didn't name there that need to really stand up. The system. Don Pike talks about it a lot, Bix. They see that flag over there underneath the cathedral end, the 19th man flag. It's limp. It's flaccid. It's not moving. If the all played well flag goes up, that one there will be bolt upright. It'll be flaccid, it'll be a wreck. And that's what I'll be at about 7:20 when this ball's bounced.
Yeah, we talked about that for both.
Because the national anthem.
That's it. You'll stand up. Okay, let's get to our next guest. We'll try and straighten up for a little bit. Terry McAuliffe, Adelaide's number one from the SAJC, joined us now. Tezza, how are you, mate?
Yeah, well, thanks, boys. Actually, at the airport of Port Lincoln, we're just waiting to fly their first meeting for the season. I'm desperate to get on this plane, boys, to get to Adelaide Oval.
Of course you are.
Come on, Tez.
The finals are here. The AFL finals. We hope you get here as soon as you can. But also some great racing around the place as well. There's a $1 million Group 1 race in Sydney. The goal's about that. Yeah, the Golden Race tomorrow, and Minari's the boom horse going into that race, has certainly been devastating in both wins this campaign. Up at Rose Hill over 1,100 metres back on the 12th of August, and then came out and repeated the dose in the lead-up race to this on September. Going to run the favourite and going to be very hard to beat, and it's pressing for a spot in the big race, the Everest, coming up for 10 million in Sydney in a few weeks' time. So, look, for Minari to get there, it would need to come out and win tomorrow. Hasn't been to 1,400 metres before, so I guess that's the little worry. There are some that are thinking that perhaps it could be vulnerable at the 1,400 metres, but gee, the way he's going to be mighty hard to beat. Okay, now locally, 8 races at Morpheville, and you're in good form. You tipped us a great winner last week, Steel Frost. What are we tomorrow? Well, Rowy's not going to be happy with me. His horse lining up in the first Mondo Magic. The bookies got a big poster of your horse on their walls, Rowy, because they keep getting the punters' money. It's been a beaten favourite its last 3 starts. It's going to be favourite again tomorrow, and I think it'll lose. Well, I think number 4...
Get nicked. Serious, who too?
Yeah, I think number 4, Annaford, will be hard to beat. Now, Jamie Carr horse last start, and she's riding Annaford tomorrow. Mate, this girl's come back in devastating form once again. She's just come back from an overseas hole. In the time she's been back, from the 2nd of September, she's had 33 race rides, and she's won 12 races. So she's going at ride every 3 rides. I mean, she's in devastating form, and I thought she was on the winner in the first tomorrow. Number 4, Annaford. Sorry, Rowie.
We'll off Mondo Magic onto this clown of a thing. Fair dinkum. And we weren't going to mention Mondo Magic in this cross. Did Biggs text you about that? Because all the Mondo Magic are getting into me that every time we spruik it, its odds bloody get slashed.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's been a night at last 3 starts, and the bookies have got the lot. They've collected the punters' money, so they're going to have to back up again tomorrow at at a short quote, maybe short tomorrow, but certainly got a good chance, Rowie, and I'd love to see him win for you, but not as much as I'd love to see the Crows win for you tonight.
No, done. If I'm with the ladder.
Yeah. Hey, anything with a bit of value, Tez?
Yeah, value, race 5, number 4, Wasabi Bob. I thought its run first up was Roy's. It moved after win. He just ran out of petrol the last 200 metres. He'll be strip fitter for that run, and I think it'll be very hard to beat race 5, number 4, Wasabi, about $6 with Claire Lindop riding.
Great stuff, Tez.
Right, Tez.
Hey, get on that plane. Get here as soon as you can, mate. Don't miss a thing.
Yeah, good call. Let's go the Crows.
There you go. Terry McAuliffe, number 1 race caller in SA from the SAJC.
Let's do the big book of stiff.
Book of stiff shit.
Oh, yeah. I sort of like this one and I sort of don't.
Yeah. What is it?
And I think you gave it to... No, David Wilde.
David Wilde. Give him the credit.
Kim Dillon joins us after 6 o'clock. Okay, big book of stiff, you know what? 50 years
50
to the day.
Yeah.
In 1967, the VFL Grand Final was between Geelong and Richmond.
Yep.
Years ago. 50 years ago tomorrow, the 1967 Sample Grand Final.
Yep.
Was Sturt. Do we believe in lightning striking twice? Because one leg of that daily double is up. Sturt and Port are playing in the Sample 17 Grand Final.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Bix.
Could it be?
Can you cue the thunderclouds?
50 years
Geelong
apart.
and Crows, 50 years in Richmond and GWS.
Well, so
could it happen?
You're implying that Geelong may meet Richmond 50 years later.
Well, what the odds are of that?
Rip it up.
You just see me rip that right the hell up. Right the hell up.
Good work, yeah. That just sent a shudder up your spine. That is just...
Thanks, World.
Just about it from us. But I tell you what, it has been a massive night tonight. We've spoken, as we said, from Crows fans from all around the world, and we've done that all week. We had Sam Willoughby, we've had Leighton Hewitt, we've had Nick Percat, Aaron Phillips joined us as well. Spoke to Sheeds. He's got a big weekend, of course. The GWS Giants, who he was the inaugural coach, they're taking on his beloved Tigers. You know who wins that one? He's going to have one leg into the grand final. Lingy joined us. He thinks that Geelong might just scrape over the line. Robbo, well, in his voice, he thinks it's Geelong. But you know what? We both think that Adelaide have been the best team all year and that they can get it done. So we're going to take a break for the 6 o'clock news. After 6, our coverage will continue. Kim Dillon, Stephen Rowe, Mark Pickley, plus others will have special guests to join us as well.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1390 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide AA.
Mostly clear tonight, showers and windy tomorrow, 22 at 6 o'clock. I'm Marcus Wilson.
Choose your own discount with 12 weeks to Christmas at You Installer Kitchens.
A record crowd is expected at the Adelaide Oval for tonight's preliminary final between the Crows. While the majority attending will be hoping for an Adelaide victory, 3,000 Geelong supporters have made the trip over, many arriving this afternoon. These Cats fans spoke to 10 News.
We're all pumped up. We've been up since 3 a.m. and hopefully we come here for...
It takes a long time to get over here and, you don't do it without passion. Paddy Dangerfield's home, but he's with the Catters now!
Results of a state go into the Modbury Hospital could be released in weeks. The Premier and Health Minister toured the hospital this afternoon and are considering transforming health reforms and restoring some of its services. It follows a promise by the opposition earlier this week, which would see a $20 million in the hospital if it wins next year's election. Joe Wetherall says the government is allowed to change its stance on Modbury.
I don't feel any sense, concern or embarrassment to change a position on the back of listening to the community.
There are calls for calm. Prime Minister Tony Abbott was assaulted over his stance against same-sex marriage. Michael Packey reports.
A 38-year-old man has been charged for allegedly headbutting Mr Abbott as he was leaving a meeting in Hobart. The former PM wasn't badly hurt other than a gash on the lip. Mr Abbott claims the same-sex marriage supporter ran away after the incident. He says it shows just how ugly the debate has become.
I think we've come to a pretty sorry pass if that's
where modern Australia is.
The attack has been condemned by Yes advocates. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull says all sides must be respectful.
One incident is one too many.
The accused it had nothing to do with the same-sex marriage debate. He's been granted conditional bail and will appear in a Hobart court next.
The High Court has ruled One Nation's Malcolm Roberts was a dual citizen at the time he was nominated for election. The court has ruled the Queenslander who believed he had renounced his British citizenship before last year's election was a citizen of the UK. Born to an Australian mother and Welsh in India in 1955, he's one of 7 parliamentarians to have their citizenship considered by the High Court. Hotels have a reduction of digital driver's licences, claiming it'll help staff weed out phony IDs. The new technology will be rolled out next month. The Australian first move will be an optional one for drivers. SA Police Minister Chris Picton says it adds extra security to license.
You'll be able to scan in the driver's licence of another person, and that will automatically check with the systems to ensure that that is the correct.
Adelaide Zoo staff are again closely monitoring giant panda Fiveaa as the breeding season again approaches. So far, Fiveaa and Wangwang any success in reproducing, and vets and IVF experts are again ready to artificially inseminate for the 4th time. Lane Benstead says staff have fingers and everything else crossed for a baby panda.
We've said all along that giant pandas are very, very challenging to breed. They have such a short breeding window. And so, look, it's an amazing outcome if you get an opportunity where a panda can become pregnant, but actually then having a successful pregnancy through to a successful birth is equally challenging.
Now turning to Fiveaa Sports.
Need a shed? Don't miss out. Olympic Industries Showtime sale continues. Olympic Industries, built to...
There are no late changes for the Crows heading into tonight's preliminary final against Geelong. Andy Otten has big shoes to fill following the injury to Mitch McGee. Assistant coach Matthew Clark has told Rowie and Bix he'll be playing in the forward line.
Pretty much straight swap in terms of the aerial capacity. Gov's got speed and defensive intensity, but Otto does pretty well in that space as well. And what he does bring is flexibility, because obviously he's played everywhere for us pretty much. So it gives us that little bit of cover in terms of contingencies if something happens during the game.
Giants veteran Steve Johnson against Richmond tomorrow night. Despite concerns over his knee, assistant coach Mark McVeigh says his experience will be vital in the final.
He's up and about, and we expect him to give us 120 minutes of his best, and he loves this scene. This is what he wants, and he's got there and what he can on the night.
Paceman Pat Cummins will return to Australia after the 1 days with India. He won't be playing in the 2020s, so he can prepare for the... Cole Stanley takes a 2-shot lead into the second round of the PGA Tour Championship. Jordan Spieth leads in the FedEx Cup standings. King Fiveaa traffic.
The Cooper's Alehouse, Jeps Cross, don't hold functions. They create events.
G'day, watch out for smashes Northwest Plains, Torrens Road, West Croydon, Montague Road in Paraka tonight as well. Late roadworks around Anzac Highway, Greenhill Road in the city, and Redmond Drive near the Adelaide Airport. Want a new TV, computer or furniture? You got it at Radio Rentals with $3 rental for the first 3 months on anything store-wide. Hurry, and rentals, T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic, Fiveaa.
Now the Fiveaa forecast.
Australia's first choice for new and used Toyota forklifts. Visit toyotahandling.com.au.
Mostly clear tonight. Showers and windy tomorrow. A top of 22 tomorrow after a low tonight of 15. A shower or windy on Sunday, 17. Partly cloudy and 18 on Monday. Right now, 28 degrees. More news as it happens on 5.
This evening on 5AA, Adelaide Oval hits fever pitch as the Crows take on Geelong for a spot in the 2018 AFL Grand Final.
2-1 here. Should be all Adelaide. They are on fire.
5AA is your home for football. Now, let's go live to the 5AA commentary team.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to the beautiful Adelaide Oval. This is before the bounce, thanks to Buy Urban. It is preliminary final night, one of the biggest nights in AFL. Tim Dillon with you, joined by Mark Bickley and Stephen Rowe, who's just taking a quick break to rest the tonsils. As I mentioned, we're here thanks to Buy Urban, bathrooms and kitchens, plus a stunning range of timber floors. Google Buy Urban. We create your imagination. We are still live and interactive, so you can have yours. Ask a few questions to Bix. A lot of nervous people around, Bix. I walked in from prospect. I think I got asked 37 times who's going to win.
Yeah, look, it's been like that, hasn't it? I think a lot of that's to do with the build-up. It's been 15 days in the making, and people, as it's got closer, they've been hesitant to get too wound up. But now the day's arrived. I think they're exactly like you said. They're excited. They're hopeful. There's enormous. There's also a little bit of trepidation about being so close to something that they have been waiting so long for. That is a grand final appearance. Been to this exact weekend 4 times before in the last 20 years and haven't been able to get across or get over this week. So, yeah, no doubt a lot of those people who have lived through that moment and don't want to get too far ahead of themselves.
Yeah, you start to second-guess yourself. A couple of weeks ago, people were a lot more confident, but the Cats were absolutely awesome last week against Sydney, as we saw. And as you mentioned, 7 prelim now for 5 losses. It's not a great record, and it's one you'd want to try and rectify.
Yeah, look,
and the obvious reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last, what's that? There was the one in 1993, and then there was 2 successful ones, and then there's been 4, 2002, 2005, 2006, and the last in 2012. So
we were over there for that bit.
Spread out over a fair time, but it doesn't make it any easier. There's been a lot of supporters who have supported this club since day one, and they've lived through those devastating. They are. When you get as close to this, like you say, you get your hopes up really high because you are so close to being in the grand final, and then it all comes crashing down. So anyway, this is what finals footy is about. It is the make or break. It is the do or die. There is no next week for one of these teams, and that's why you'll find that the players are all on the line. And often the prelim final is one of the best games of the year.
Just trying to think, 2012, you were with Fiveaa there.
I was coaching. Yep.
Oh, you were in the coaches box. I apologise. I was over there for that game.
First year.
I was with David Wildy and Rowie, and and when Graham Johncock kicked that goal in the last quarter, and what was it like in the box? Because momentum was with Adelaide then.
Yeah, look, there was some element of control as there is, but we struggled that day because we felt exposed down back. Our key defenders out, and we had some young, inexperienced defenders in, and unfortunately. The class of the Hawks, it was Sean Burgoyne who had some really important touches. It was Cyril Rioli who took a mark and kicked that low, and all those players that are champion players and have gone on and had enormous success. They were the ones that were able to find the ball when it mattered most. And unfortunately, we had a couple of half chances, whether it was Patrick Dangerfield who was tackled by Ben Stratton, it was Ian Callanan who turned onto his left foot and who's got probably the best left foot I've ever seen for a right footer. Just bounced, wasn't able to get it onto the chest of a Crows player. And look, it's not there. Just those little things that stick in your mind. Just so close yet so far away.
And you mentioned Ian Callahan, Wingy, or Nutsy as he was known.
Wingnut,
yeah, just retired down in Tasmania.
Yeah, look, it was great.
A week ago.
Great to see that. He was given the Guard of Honour, absolute legends of Tasmanian footy. There's no doubt about that. He's had a long, distinguished career. Got so close to being drafted a number of times at different clubs. Enormous success at Central Districts, and then just so rapt that he was able to get an opportunity to show what he could do on the big stage of AFL footy. And what a year he had. That kicked something like 39 goals for a small forward, which was absolutely outstanding.
And I think he's probably got James Podsy Adelaide to thank, and so have a lot of players, because the J-Pod broke the mould, didn't he? It made AFL clubs open their eyes, take the blinkers off a little bit, and actually think that just because someone's 26, 27, it doesn't mean that they can't play at that.
Yeah, of course. That's it. J-Pod came in, I think he debuted at 28, James Podsy Adelaide. After being at 4 different clubs, he ended up as one of the fitness advisors at Geelong. They kept, this is the story as it goes, they kept doing competitive work. He would beating the AFL players. So they said, you know what, let's put him on the rookie list. He worked his way up, got into the team, and of course won a premiership with Geelong. What a story that is.
Now he's here at the Adelaide Football Club as a very respected assistant coach. This is Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy Urban, award-winning bathrooms and kitchens. Mark Bickley and Kim Dillon with you. Interactive. You can have your say on tonight's game. Who's going to win it? Who's going to be the X factor? The Geelong side is out there at the moment. I heard you boys mention Dangerfield came out early. He actually walked right down the middle of the ground, Bix, all by himself. Yep. All his teammates are in navy blue. He was in grey. Mine being a little bit different, old Paddy. Now, you touched on experience in 2012, or the lack of. Can you take me back to 90 and any of the other finals that you were associated with? Because there's a massive disparity in experience tonight. A third of the Geelong play a premiership.
Yep.
Not one Crows player has even played in an AFL Grand Final.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you in 97?
Well, I think we had one player. Darren Jarman was the only player who had played in a grand final. So
I bumped into Fudd. I got the lift up with him.
Yeah.
Only hit when he got in.
Okay, so Fudd had played in a winning grand final with the Hawks. Hadn't had a really great game, so hadn't really played to his full. But look, there's an element of, and look, if you look through those years, some of our best players were our least experienced. You know, Solomon Goodwin had played 10 games. He had a cracking final series. Cloud, who we know won the Norm Smith medal, had played something like 30 or 40 games as well. So there is an element, yes, it can help you in terms of composure, in terms of knowing what to expect, but at the same time, there is a brashness of youth that doesn't think too. It doesn't think at, you know, this could be my only chance to win a grand final. I mustn't stuff it up. They just go out there and just play, and we've seen that so often. So the inexperience finals-wise will make too much of a difference. In actual fact, you think of Walker and Sloan and these guys, they are in the prime, and I think right now they are saying, we are primed, we are ready, we've been close a couple of times, this is our time to shine.
Some of those Andrew Mackie could be his last game if they don't go through.
Tom Lonergan's another one. In actual fact, I think it will be both those guys' last game. I think
if they lose, yep, they've both announced. Mackie, this will be his 26th final. Joel Selwood, his 26th final. Harry Taylor, his 23rd. If the Cats did get through Biggs, Joel Selwood will play his 250th game in the grand final. Now, talking of other players and how it affects them, whether experienced or not, Jake Lever, we get tired of talking about it. But it's been handled pretty well. It looks like he's gone.
Yep.
He's been radar, stopped his regular appearance on 5AA a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Do you think he'll be feeling any more pressure?
Oh, no. I think one of the things that players, I reckon, are living at the moment. They are living in the moment. They're not thinking about what happens next week, what happens next month. For Jake, what happens next year. I think that's a fair way off, and that's the attitude you're going to have. The 22 players that are out here tonight, and the ones that, if they're successful, go on, for whatever reason, they will never be the same again. This group will never be this group again. There'll be changes, injuries, or Brodie Smith will come back, or someone else. McGovern will be back in the side. So they are all about to try and make his group right now, and that living in the moment, I think that's really important. About we have to seize this moment, make sure we do everything we can to make the most of it, because blokes like Brodie Smith and Mitch McGovern, who would love to be out here and deserve to be out here, but just aren't. So we've got to make sure we don't waste this opportunity.
Now, talk about, I mentioned that the Cats were out there, and they're in the middle of the Adelaide Oval now, and They
do this each week, Kimbo, so it's nothing
Chris
unusual.
Scott just addressed.
So Chris Scott gets the players out into the centre circle of the centre square, and he talks to them each and every week. So this is something they've done. Nothing new, just looking at the Crows players at the other end. They're having some shots on goal at the southern end. I can tell you, both teams, there's no late changes. You just may have joined us. The benches have been announced. Brad Crouch, Jake Kelly, Hugh Greenwood and Andy Otten on the Pine, and it's Nakai Cockatoo, Darcy Lang, Sam Menegola and Tom Stewart on the bench for Geelong.
Now, you mentioned Jake Kelly. If Paddy does play up forward, now to me there's been so much hype about it, but it doesn't really concern me that much. It's a talking point. It's not new that he's forward, but it is interesting as to who would go to him. So if he started up there, as some are suggesting, I thought Jake Kelly was a possibility.
Yeah, look, it's Cole Harding, and physically I reckon he's a better matchup. Played a bit more footy than Jake Kelly as well. So
quick enough.
Yeah, and look, I think Cole is quite explosive. So he plays on Franklin, he plays on Josh Kennedy there, those explosive type forwards, and I just feel like in the air he's got a bit more experience to be able to combat that. But it'll be more about two other things. One is what the delivery is like. If he leaves space and can lead and the ball's delivered well, Usain Bolt won't be able to stop Dangerfield if he pushes off you and leads. And the second one is if it comes in long, he's very good in the air. Adelaide need to have, whether it's Daniel Talia or Jake Lever, that third man in has to be coming across and just destroying it. So there'll be the things that they'll be looking at. If Dangerfield were to get further up the ground, he starts forward and then pushes up onto the wings and tries to become an extra midfielder. That's when maybe a Jake Kelly, who's probably got a bit bigger tank and a bit more mobility, might be able to follow him up.
Talking to Rowie earlier, and he'll rejoin us shortly. Graham Corns will join us too, the great philosopher Graham. Graham always says that every person has a story. There's a story with Luke Brown. He turns 25 today. Tell us about Luke Brown, because he's one of those players that could walk down the Adelaide Mall and hardly anyone...
Yeah, I'll tell you what, gets the big jobs and very, very rarely does he let his teammates down. He's a much-loved player. It was interesting because he, I guess, came to the club on the back of losing Phil Davis. So Adelaide had pick 10 in the draft, another pick from GWS. They packaged those and was able to be on-traded. So for 2 first-round draft picks, Adelaide have ended up with Brown and Brad Crouch. Now, Brad Crouch, we're just starting to see his potential.
But just so there's no confusion, he never went to GWS, Luke.
No, because of the terms they had, access to players who were registered in the other leagues, they had first dibs, if you like, on him. And I knew Adelaide keen on him, so part of the whole deal when Phil Davis was that Adelaide could take Luke Brown in that. So he's been a very, very good player. What is excited about him, one is his speed. He's very, very quick, and so he's able to play on those dangerous smalls. And today he'll get Motlop ice. Motlop was fantastic last week. And the other
smelly the week before, but redeemed himself.
Sorry?
He was smelly the week before,
yes.
But had an absolute shocker.
Yeah, Motlop he's one of the barometers for them, because when he's played well, he played well against Richmond at Simmons Stadium a couple of weeks. That was one of his best games for the year. Geelong smoked Richmond then, and then he came out and he played a cracking game last week, and we know how well Geelong played last week. So it's a bit like, if he gets some touch, like a genie getting out of a bottle, he really gets his confidence up and can run and carry. So he's a very dangerous player. So you think that Brown will get him. The other thing, just Luke Brown, super effective kick. Now, he needs a couple of steps to get himself steady, but I think his disposal by foot is something like 81%. So very, very important player for Adelaide.
All right, we've got to take a break. On the other side of the break, Stephen Rowe will join us again shortly, and Graham Corns, the inaugural coach of the Adelaide. The deep thinker, our stud, there's no doubt about that. This is Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy Urban.
Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy. See our stunning bathrooms and kitchens, plus a stunning range of timber floors at buyurban.com.au. We create imagination. This is Fiveaa Finals Football.
Itching to have your say on the Fiveaa Sports Show? Now you're guaranteed to get through with your comments, feedback and questions. Thanks to Automaster's great service guarantee, you text the Fiveaa Sports Show on 0448 08 1395. Write it down. 0448 08 95. All thanks to Automaster's great service guaranteed and 1395. Adelaide's Fiveaa. SMS fees apply.
Dan Murphy's Footy Finals catalogue is out now, and it's packed with unbeatable offers, like Stoneleigh 70 only $8.70 in any 6. 1 litre bottles of Smirnoff Red Label vodka, just $46.90 each. And cases of Asahi Super Dry Fill bottles for an unbeatable $44.95. Pick up the catalogue in store or shop at danmurphys.com.au. But nobody beats Dan Murphy's. Enjoy responsibly. Catalogue valid till October 1st. Conditions apply.
Don't let your hearing get in living. Spring into action and experience the sounds of life with the latest hearing technology from Widex. For a limited time, 440 and 330 hearing aids come with over $800 added value, including a free iPhone. To get this and more, hearing health check today on 1800 554 968 or visit your local Bloom Hearing Clinic. Bloom Hearing Specialist, the best way to better hearing. Conditions apply.
No one likes being locked in, but for years we've let our telcos lock us, roll away the key. Break up with your telco and you can break free. Vodafone has launched new plans that give you freedom and flex. You'll no longer feel trapped by your telco because you can get a no lock-in contract on selected new red plans when you sign up and get a phone. Plus, you can pay for your phone over 12, 24 or 36 months interest-free. If you don't love them, you can leave your plan, your phone, just pay what's left. So unlock yourself. Switch to Vodafone today. If Red Plan is cancelled, all remaining phone payments will be applied to your terms and conditions apply. Vodafone, power to you.
Time for another top deal from Nordic Honda, top of Glen Osmond Road. For this month only, amazing deal from Nordic Honda on any new or demo Honda Civic. Purchase any new or demo Honda Civic sedan or hatch and receive scheduled service free. Top that. 3 years scheduled service free, exclusive to Nordic Honda. Plus 5-year warranties standard on all new Hondas.
Another top deal from the top of Glen Osmond Road. Nordic Honda.
Nordic Honda.
Time to get your rush hour sugar rush. Spend that time sitting down with a sweet Candy Crush boost. There's tasty chocolate on, so be divine. Come on, it's candy time. Play Candy Crush Saga now.
This is 5AA football.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval, 6:21, only an hour away from the opening bounce of the prelim. Before the bounce, thanks to Buy Urban. Kim Dillon, Mark Bickley and Stephen Rowe with you. Graham Corns joining us very shortly. Rowie, we're just having a look at acknowledging some of the players. We mentioned how it's Lukey Brown's 25th birthday today, on the day of the preliminary final. But what about Rory Laird? I remember having to interview him at his first year at the club when he was on the rookie list. He looked about 12, the shyest bloke I've ever seen. Just looked at him physically and thought, there's no way he could go out there and do battle against men.
Yeah, well, he's developed, hasn't he? He's done a lot of work in the gym with, does a lot of squats. He's very powerful through what you call your core.
Yep.
Although he's not tall in stature and lightningly fast, he's hard to tackle. And he's ball is what he is.
And he's strong overhead.
And he's very strong overhead, reads the game well, and his work rate is quite incredible. Whenever you see a loose ball in the back half, the third man in is who? Rory Laird, and he uses it just so brilliantly. Have a look at his last 3 years, all Australian this year, all squad the 2 previous years. So it's been a body of work over 3 years, which has been outstanding. And I want to give full credit to the development of the Adelaide Footy Club, because it's another great, successful rookie elevation story. They're famous for it. So one, you've got to identify that. So in his draft year, overlooked by 18 clubs, the Crows then put him on a rookie list. Then the developers come in and develop the lad. He's playing games. He's going to play another 100. He'll be a due All-Australian. He could probably win the best and fairest. It's a great story.
Yeah, and
no one's touched the ball more than he.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't win more than 2 All-Australians, and he's a little bit stiff that he didn't win it the year before.
I'd agree with that.
You talk about rookie-listed players, and we'll talk about X-Factor. Might even jump into it now. Now, we saw what Charlie Cameron did at the SCG last year in that losing final.
Yep.
He is due. This is the type of where leg speed, big tackles, and breaking lines make the difference between winning and losing. He just needs to finish, Rob.
He will. He needs to. They need to convert. I said to Bix from 3 to 6, if there's a few things I want to see today that you put in the bank, is bring the heat. And look, I think they will. It's a prelim final. If they're not fair, Deacon, get a start. But more than all of that, when you're in, you've got that cod, you've got that seed, the cherry, the nut in hand. Please put it straight through the middle. I go Walker 1, JJ 2, in that order of importance today need to light up.
Well, it's been the advantage for Geelong over Adelaide for a long time. It's been their defence. Interesting stat I was looking at over the last 4 years. The Adelaide Football Club average 106 points. 106 points. They're a high-scoring team. Against Geelong, 76.
Yeah.
5 goals difference. Hence, Adelaide losing 5 out of the last 6 matches.
Well, yeah, I really just look at, you can look at it in its entirety, or you can look at it the round 18 game where they kicked 91. They kicked 13 goals, 13. Taylor Walker missed some, 2 did Charlie. It really should have been a 100-point score line. The actual score, it should have been 100. So I look at that game and I say, I think the blueprint is to what the Crows need to do. And what they did there was Rory Sloane won contestable, Douglas won contestable. They were plus 30 for contest, more inside 50s. That's the game I'm more concerned about. Can they bring the same heat? We know exactly what Chris Scott's going to do. We can all tell you exactly what Chris Scott will do today. There will be no surprises for the coaching box. He played all his cards last week, whether it's blitz calves on Rory Sloane, or Laird gets tagged, or Lynch gets cut out, or Eddie Betts is going to get abused. We can tell you exactly how they're going to line up.
Because Harry Taylor kicked 5 up forward last
Well,
time.
yes, he did, but he got 5 in the second half. He got 4 in the last quarter.
So you think he'll be
Junk
back?
time.
You think he'll be back?
Swing man, as Andy Otten may need to be a swing man. Yeah.
So you think Harry Taylor will start back?
I think you'll start forward, to be honest with you.
Well, there's one to see, and I'll be absolutely gutted, Rowie, if it doesn't happen, and that is Riley Knight going towards Joe Selwood again.
Don't mind it.
It kept him to 25-26. Ineffective in that game last time, and I just don't think they can afford to let him off the leash and let him do his own devices, because that would delay enormously, has in the past. And you say you concentrate on that one winning game, but you're also famous for saying, is it an event or is it a pattern? There's been a pattern of losing to Geelong.
Yep, I get that.
So is it? So you're saying you believe after that one game, or you believe after the body of work of...
Well, you know yourself when you played, when there was a team that had your measure, when you did beat them, it did give you confidence.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think the Crows did get that from it. All that week and the build-up toward that game, if you can remember round 18, everybody was getting into Dom. What are you going to do different? Are you going to tag? Are you going to get some mongrel in your team? Are you going to fire the hell up, Don, and fire them the hell up? Well, they did play with absolute mongrel. We were all going, hip, hip, hooray. That first half, they smashed Geelong.
Well, the old saying...
So there's your template. Getting back to Joel Selwood, yeah, he was tagged by Knight. He was inefficient, to be honest with you. I thought Joel Selwood had a reasonable day. These two, Selwood and Dangerfield, here's the template for them. You know what Richmond did? Every time those two boys got the ball, they smashed them. Patrick Dangerfield, 38% efficiency, was tackled by 14 different Richmond players. There's your template. Every time he gets it, or Selwood, you smash the living suitcase out of them without giving away free kicks, and you nullify their efficiency. Do that, you win. End of spree.
I like it. Sounds good in theory. He's a hard man to catch, though. 8223 0000. If you want to have your say, maybe you've got a theory on how you can defeat Geelong tonight. Adelaide are the red-hot favourites, but I reckon that's just starting to swing. That's being tempered a little bit because the Cats are up. They were brutal against Sydney last week. 8223 0000. Thanks to Baker Young Stockbrokers. Graham Corns joining us shortly. This goes away in 55 minutes. All righty, let's have a look at some stats, Rowie. And look, you can read into them what you will. Adelaide have been the number one side for scoring inside 50. The Cats at number 9. Not a massive disparity. It's funny, we spoke to Kenny last week. Statistically, the two sides, West Coast and Port Adelaide, were very, very similar.
They were.
Very similar, apart from one stat. The fact that Port Adelaide were number one at inside 50, yet West Coast scored more goals from inside 50
more efficient.
Port Adelaide. So can you see that being an issue?
Well, it is a big stat. I think if the Crows get more inside 50s, they're going to hurt the opposition more than Long will down the other end. I want to get into a little bit of this as Menzel does a bit of a warm through. We saw Patrick Dangerfield before giving Saucy Jacobs a little bit of a hug. Crowd's building. It is fantastic. I want to know how tactical do you think the game's going to be his box to what happens out on the field. And what I mean by that is this +1. The +1 is going to be really interesting. I know Bix is going to harp on this the course of the game. Geelong get a +1 in their back half. They will mop it up all day. And we asked Doc Clark this, are you going to play 6 defenders? Yeah, we might. We'll see.
Well, he did want to commit. I listened to the interview.
Well, you're right. And he was calm and all that sort of stuff.
Now,
I want to see that. I want to see their defenders stand a man. I don't want to see a Henderson or a Lonigan or a Mackie or a Tui, Malone, mopping up across half-back.
Row balls throughout the course of the year.
Call me row
balls.
Where'd that come from?
Well, I've been doing that for years now.
Have I got Popeye's chin?
Yeah, I haven't. We've had better. There's been better scraps up here sometimes than out on the ground.
Oh, fair cool.
If you go back to the Geelong game, remember now that was the game where everyone expected that Adelaide enough was enough. We're going to stand up. And me and Bix were over there. No, they didn't. We got beaten over there.
The one at Geelong.
Yep, the one
we got beat up.
Yep, and
beat up.
We not through bias. We thought that was a game that Adelaide's had enough. They know how to beat Geelong with the same game plan. Now you and Bix banged heads over the +1.
Yep.
Now, I was on your side, and Bix's philosophy is over there we'll get his view on it shortly.
He'll come in shortly.
Was that, you send another one back, then they send another one back, etc., etc. And it's so pleasing to see Don Pike change it up when they played them here at the Adelaide Oval. So that's how I believe they have beaten. I know it's easy to simple. They've beaten Adelaide. So heaven forbid if that happens again, because it frustrates the crowd, it frustrates everyone.
Well, the technical game will take this up when big. So the +1, who's going to have the +1? Who's going to have the advantage? Who's going to send the extra number up to the stoppage? Who's going to be late up to the stoppage? Who's going to back? We'll do that. The other one for me is 6-on-6 forwards. Are they going to do it the Crows? You heard Doc Clark. Well, we're not too sure. I think they should.
He knows.
The other one's with who? And how many run-widths do you have? And the last one for me, I just thought Stanley and Smith as a combination last week was outstanding. They lost their opposition ruckman. They got plenty of the ball. They hit the scoreboard. I think between them they had 11 inside 50s. Sauce has a massive job because what Smith will do, he'll do the centre square ruck, then he'll run forward and Stanley will come on. And you can get lost with that. So I just hope the communication, put that to Doc Clark as well. He said, oh, duh, Freddie, don't you think we've watched the tape as well? Anyway, let's hope they damn well did.
Well, Bix is the only one AFL club, so we'll bounce a few ideas off him. And Rory Sloane, that's the interesting one. Will it be Blit Calves? Will it be Scott Selwood? I'm not really worried if either of those players go to them because I think the Crouch boys and Richard Douglas can get the job done. We'll take a break. This is Before the Bounce. If you want to hear 8223 0000, we're here thanks to Buy Urban.
Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy Urban, our stunning bathrooms and kitchens, plus a stunning range of timber floors at buyurban.com.au. We create your donation. This is Fiveaa Finals Football.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. Fight Breakfast.
They won't both be winners this weekend, but they have been big time in the past. Rick Davies and Scott Hodges join us on 5 Breakfast to talk about Sturt Port clashes of yesteryear.
When I ran out onto the ground, I can still remember as if it was yesterday. You couldn't see the fence. So many people around the outside. I didn't even hit the scoreboard that day, so I got dragged by half time.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
G'day, it's Rory here. When you buy a Toyota, you want the best value and the best service. At Jarvis Toyota, best of everything. Stress-free car buying at Jarvis Toyota. So come on in and see the team. They really know how to look after you.
G'day, my name's Chris Hansen and I'm born and bred in South Australia. I've been a builder now for over 30 years. I'm worried about the small businesses and jobs. Where is the work going to come from in South Australia? What we really need here is new investment, not a bank. If we have a tax put on banks, it's just going to have a knock-on effect and make things so much harder. We need more jobs, more taxes.
Spoken by C. Hansen, authorised by Tony Pearson, ABA Sydney.
Well, it's fair to say that many of the best cafes, takeaways and pizza bars in SA are supplied by Galipo Foods.
Yes, they sure are. And as of Tuesday, the 12th of September, Galipo Foods has once again been voted as the #1 distributor in Australia. Now, that's pretty awesome. That is the best in the country right around this.
3 times in 4 years, that's more than golf claps. That's a real cheer. So to Galipo, they've taken out the #1 in Australia. It shows what a great they can do and what we can do and what Galipo can do.
Yep, and look, this is how Seb rolls as well. He wants to say thank you to everyone that's contributed to that, their loyal staff members and, of course, their suppliers. They couldn't have done it without you.
Okay, so remember, if you own any food business, make sure you get in touch with Galipo Foods. Visit galipofoods.com.au.
The wife loves Stanford mowers, and so do I. I mean, you can't go wrong with their grudge of powered tools.
Hun, why haven't you got...
I'm talking Stanford's range of battery-powered garden tools. Equivalent power of petrol now, so...
I really appreciate
Yep, they have the output for the biggest jobs.
The range of garden tools at Stanford Mowers will blow you away. 590 Main North Road, Jeps Cross. StanfordMowers.com.au.
Dan Murphy's Footy Finals catalogue is out now, and it's packed with unbeatable offers, like Annie's Lane Shiraz, just $9 a bottle, 700ml bottles of Jim Beam White Label Bourbon, just $31 each, and cases of Cooper's Pale Ale 375ml bottles, beatable $44. Pick up the catalogue in store or shop at danmurphys.com.au. Remember, nobody beats Murphys. Enjoy responsibly. Catalogue valid till October 1st. Conditions apply.
This is 5 to Football.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval. Kim Dillon, Mark Bickley and Stephen Rowe with you. This game gets underway at 7:20. Conditions could not be, which worries me, boys, because Adelaide have been absolutely brilliant in wet weather. Now they're going to have to do it on one of the best decks that you've ever seen. Absolutely brilliant.
And the opposition is as tall an opposition as I've ever seen.
And it is staggering. We're just having a look at them. They've been out there for a long time. Adelaide have gone into the runes, but the Geelong players just warming up through the midfield, doing a series of exercises, and down the southern end of the Adelaide. When you went for your little break, we were talking about a few matchups.
Yes.
And you know it's coming. But the old +1, and I mentioned it when we went to Geelong, Rowie banged head something brutally.
Yeah, this is what will happen. I think that Geelong will send a half forward up. So call it Mitch Duncan.
Yep.
So he goes up and he plays around the ball. And last week, Sydney did not follow him, and at the start of the game he had a whole heap of possessions because he was on his own basically around the stoppage.
Which is what they've done to Adelaide.
Which is what then Sydney say, all right, well, we have to send our half forward up to stand on Mitch Duncan. So effectively, the minute they do that, it gives Geelong a spare in defence. You have a spare in defence up there. And now, the big question is can you round that player up? If it's a Mackie or if it's someone that hurts you, someone like Walker or Betts or Jenkins, someone who's got a defender who's going to follow them around a bit, can they get to them and make sure that they don't have an impact? Now, $54 million question. What happens if you play 6 forwards, Rory, and to not give them that, you are playing one around the ball when you give them ascendancy around the contest, which is, I don't think, is what Dom Pike wants to do. The other option is you send your half back up with. Well, when I put that to someone within the Crows, they said, no, we don't play that way. We have a spare defender every week. So that's the dilemma that they'll either give.
But they didn't do that against Geelong when the club won its last clash.
Yes,
they didn't allow the +1.
I think you'll find they just rounded him up and made sure that he didn't have an impact. So
but they played 6 forwards on 6 backs. And that's what I think we need to see today. I think the 13 template is what they need to do. Because you know exactly what Chris Scott's going to do.
Well, what about Riley Knight then? Let's just tidy that one up. You're happy if he goes to Selwood again? I think it's a must.
I don't think it will happen at all. I don't think Selwood is in anywhere near the form.
And that's what Roy Sloane when he came back and left him all alone.
Just telling you, this is what I reckon. I don't think when we heard Matty Clark, he said he gives us great running power in the forward half. Now,
I thought he was just trying to do a little bit of a furphy then, Dix, to throw everyone off the
This is what I would do, because you've got Brad Crouch and Rory Sloane. They are 3 jets. If you want to tag Joel Selwood, take one of them out of the middle. And I think that give an ascendancy to Geelong. I would love Brad Crouch to play on Joel Selwood, because I think Brad Crouch, in the form he's in, will ruin Joel Selwood.
I hear. That scares the hell out of me, that one.
Can I just let you know, Bix, because Bix did ask the question about Harry Taylor.
Yeah, where is he?
If Harry Taylor is the swing for Geelong, and he is, well, then Annie Otten's the swingman for the Crows. But I can tell you, Harry Taylor with Henderson, with Mackie, Buse has been with Henderson and Zach Toohey
defence
are doing the defence.
The minute the big fella in Reece Stanley stayed in the side, you always felt that was going to be the case, that Harry Taylor was going to go back.
And he looked better back there too.
It's interesting though, he did kick 5 goals against Adelaide in that last time they played. I know they were
bit of junk time.
They were late in the game. They were the last 5 goals of the game, but still, out of whatever they kicked, 11 I think it was, is a reasonable effort. But he will most likely play back by the look of that.
All right, this is Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy Urban and Kitchens, plus a stunning range of timber floors. Google Buy Urban. We create your imagination. Mad if you don't. They're the people to talk to. All right, we've just spoken about the defence. Match a few of them up. You've got it's one of the better defences in the second half of the year in the competition. Henderson, Taylor, Mackie, Lonergan, Buse. Now, are we all happy that Buse goes to Eddie Betts?
Yep,
Is that what we're
I think he will go.
That is the most likely, yep.
Yeah.
And Tui's been in sensational form. Haven't had a good back pocket player since Wojcinski retired. Now, he certainly filled that slot.
Corey Enright, you don't rate him?
No, not Corey. Always that loose play, you know what I mean?
Well, I think what will happen is Zach Toohey plays as the highest defender. What they love about him, if he on the 50-metre line and there's a turnover, he starts to run forward. They love the length on his kick. He's a bit like Brodie Smith. He can really attack with his run and kick. So he's Bruce most likely takes the deepest small forward, and you expect that someone like Toohey plays the higher half, and they try and use him on the way out.
All right, Rowie, Tex Walker.
Yeah, well, just on that, I think Tui and Mackie will rotate between if it's Cameron and... I saw Lynch get a lot of Mackie the last time they played, and he did a terrific job, by the way. Tui does that as well. I agree with you, Bix, because if you can get Tui's leg...
Mackie will go to Lynch?
Well, Mackie and Tui have rotated on Lynch as that... conductor, if you conducer, I think Bix the
conduit,
the conduit between
the connector,
the connector. Gee, I used every term other than the right one in the end.
Man.
Cameron as well. I think Tex will get Lonergan and Henderson will go to JJ, and that leaves Otten for Stewart. So I think that's how it'll man up. But then there's Harry Taylor in the back line, so he may do a role on JJ.
I think Lonergan's going to be the one for Jenkins. He's the one that is. I thought he went to him last time. Hen for Walker, and I think it'll be. Harry Taylor will be Otten. I'm not sure. I think what Mackie will do, drop-off player, I think they'll try and get him on the player they feel is the least dangerous. So whether that's a Riley Knight or a Charlie Cameron, and those players, they run around and they get lost a bit up the ground. Mackie just sags off and is able to be that loose player. I think Stewart is a perfect matchup for Tom Lynch. He's got a little height, but he's also a very good runner. So, look, like all teams, they will float from player to player. There's not an amount of hard, tight matchups, but...
are we expecting a high-scoring game tonight?
Not
well, you would have thought, well, it's 25 degrees right now. When the game starts, it'll get to 22. It'll drop to 20. There's a light northerly blowing. You're not going to get better weather, because there's been no cloud cover.
Not worried about the weather. Worried about the style of game.
Well, here we go. First to 100 wins.
Adelaide, you're expecting some
average over 100, but against Geelong in the last 4 times they've played, they've averaged something like 71
over the last 4 years.
Kicked 91 in round 18.
Yeah,
it was 13. And missed some absolute sitters.
I get the feeling that the key forwards mightn't have a big night tonight for some reason. It looks like it's going to be a game.
The last 3. I looked at the last 3 games that Adelaide have played. So if you call Betts, Walker, and Jenkins as the 3 main goal kickers now that McGovern, they've all had 3 games. So 9 games in total. Only once have we had a multiple goal kicker, and that was Taylor Walker hit 3 Simmons Stadium when they were absolutely obliterated. Every other time they've played, but last time in round 18 it was Douglas with 4 and Sloan with 3, and the other time they just haven't been able to hit the scoreboard.
I think this is where I'm heading. So who has the best midfield that can hit the scoreboard? Because it might get down to a low scoring game. 10, 11, 12 goals might win the game.
Yep.
And you get down to people like Richard Douglas, Mitch Duncan.
Crows are just running out. You hear the roar. Magnificent cheer out they come, led by Taylor Walker. The Geelong Cats have been out there for quite some time. Thought it was the Cats that had the 15-day break. The Crows have been in their hut like a little rabbit, stretching Bix, just waiting to come on out. Now out, absolutely magnificent.
And we've been told there's absolutely no changes, which is good news. Just go through the interchange bench again for us, Bix.
Yep, Brad Crouch, Jake Kelly, Hugh Greenwood and Andy Otten for Adelaide. So generally, Greenwood's been on there pretty much every week. We know it alternates, but most likely...
I'm just marking them, Bix, and I missed one. I had Brad Crouch, Jake Kelly, Andy
Hugh Greenwood and Andy Otten. And Geelong, it's Nakai Cockatoo, Darcy Lang, Sam Menegola and Tom Stewart. Nakai Cockatoo is a really interesting one, isn't it? 65 football in 13 weeks. Now, that is remarkable. Clearly, they've put him through a lot of testing. I heard that he did, they practice with him, and he ran over 10 Ks and was able to get through that. So that's as stringent as any sort of training you're going to do, but still, not that amount, or only
having a history of soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, and both of them have been a hamstring. So round 13, hamstring in, round 19, hamstring. Got to be a massive risk, and it's one of these. Chris Scott, he's either a rooster or a feather dust. It turns out that Cockatoo kicks 3 goals and Geelong win. It is one of the all-time boldest coaching moves ever. If he jags it in the first 10 minutes, the biggest duff of all time.
Well, I've just had a look down to my left and had a look in the ABC box, and every time someone has a conversation like this, I think of Rod Jamieson, the Grand 97 or 98.
The driver in about the 15-minute mark of the first.
Didn't he go into it with the injury?
I don't think so. He did it during the match, and the other Sampson, both soft tissue injuries in the first quarter. Adelaide had that day.
Just on Cockatoo, every time he plays the Crows, he plays a real physical footy. He weighs about 90 kilo. He throws his body around. I think he's in there for that closing speed pressure. They've got him, they've got Parfitt, they've got Motlop. I think Bix is going to come down to, if you have a look at the star midfielders in each group, now let's say Sloan, M. Crouch, B. Crouch and Douglas are the Crows' 4 best. Let's just say Dangerfield, Scott Selwood, Duncan and Joel Selwood are there. So I had to put Scott Selwood there because he will be in there because he's just 4 because he's going to tag one of the opposition. Who's got the best depth of the next 4? Because every time we hear Don Pike talk or Scotty Campriali, it's the collective 8 of the midfield.
Yep.
It's the sum of all the parts. You do not need stars through the midfield. You need all of them. So let's go.
Yep.
Knight, Greenwood, Atkins, and let's just say it's either Seedsman or DMAC as the 4, up against Lang, Minna, Motlop and Blitzcarves.
Yeah, well,
it's pretty tough.
Yeah, well, Blitzcarves did an amazing job in Kennedy last week. Motlop was outstanding, but we know he's hot and cold.
Meningola's had a great last 6 weeks.
Menegola has been outstanding. He's a mature age recruit so beautifully. He's a really good size. Just on those, you'd probably think that the Geelong 4, a slightly better touch, is going really well, but McKay, Atkins, Knight, I feel like maybe Geelong has that edge, but we're splitting hairs here, and that's what it's going to come down is how they play and who can get themselves over the line. We're going to take a break. I'm really keen to talk about Mac. I feel like he has been such a great player and has had no real respect or recognition or mention from the opposition teams. I feel like tonight is the night they're going to try and pick him off.
Well, our colleague Kane Corns was pushing that week. Just quickly,
because he would want to see it. So, hey, 2 buffheads, swap you. Bet you'd swap tomorrow.
It's been fairly transparent. They're feeling I know.
Can you believe?
Well, I bite my tongue because I don't want to sound like sour grapes. But interesting where you were heading, though, about those players. And Nick D'Alsanto, bottom 6, he said in finals, coaches tend to look at your bottom 6, the last 6 that you would pick, and he thought Adelaide had more depth. The last 6 picked were better than Geelong's.
Well, if I just look at the ins and the outs for Geelong, so Stewart went out and young Guthrie. Who come in? Lonigan and Cockatoo. So I think the bottom 6 for Geelong, for mine, look a tad stronger than the... people underestimate the value of B. Smith. Now, the steely resolve of him, and he's got ball in hand. He had 107-point kickouts this year. He missed 1.
It's the metre.
So now that kick-out is the most critical kick. He can run, he can carry, he can kick over. Here's a massive out. And people that want to gloss over that, they don't know their footy. And the other bloke at the other end, Mitch McGovern, is the best pack mark, the best contested mark, the bloke with the best closing speed. Fair dinkum, he's out as well.
You're tipping the Cats, are you?
2 bookends. No, I'm not. I'm tipping the Crows by 17 points. Boom.
All right, then we'll have more of the boys' thoughts. This is Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy Urban.
Before the Bounce, thanks to Buy Urban. See our stunning bathrooms and kitchens, plus a stunning range of timber floors at buyurban.com.au. We create your imagination. This is 5AA Finals Football.
Join 5AA Stephen Rowe, Mark Bickley and Dave as they call the 2017 Sandful Maccas League Grand Final live this Sunday. Tune in from 1 p.m. to get all the latest information. Big game between Port Adelaide and Sturt. The first time they've faced off in a grand final since 1998. It's going to be a great battle. 2 iconic teams, and 5AA will have a live and passionate call. Adelaide's home of sport. 5AA.
Lock more in the BMW X320D with over $13,000 worth of extras, including M Sport package, Inner package, metallic paint and sunroof. Visit your preferred BMW dealer today. Terms and conditions apply.
Kick off the most exciting day of the sporting calendar at the iconic Mazda North Melbourne Grand Final breakfast with a panel featuring AFL CEO Gillum McLaughlin, Premiership heroes and Josh Gibson, and AFLW MVP Aaron Phillips. It's definitely one event you don't want to miss. The morning includes performances, Be More, and comedians Titus O'Reilly and Peter Hellier. Tickets include gourmet breakfast and premium beverages, but limited remain. Book yours now at nab.com.au or call 1300 Kangas.
Well, it's fair to say that many of the best cafes, pubs, takeaways and pizza bars are supplied by Galipo Foods.
Yes, they sure are. And as of Tuesday, the 12th of September, Galipo Foods has once again voted as the #1 distributor in Australia. Now, that's pretty awesome. That is the best in the country right around this great nation.
3 times in 4 years, that's more laps. That's a real cheer. So to Galipo, they've taken out the #1 in Australia. It shows what a great state they can do and what we can do and what they can do.
Yep, and look, this is how Seb Rolls as well. He wants to say thank you to everyone that's contributed to that, their loyal staff, their customers, and, of course, their suppliers. Couldn't have done it without you.
Okay, so remember, if you own any food business, make sure you get in touch with Galipo Foods. Visit foods.com.au.
Stick with your footy team, but not your telco. Want to get no lock-in contracts with Vodafone? Find out more at vodafone.com.au/plans. T's and C's apply. Unlock yourself. Switch to Vodafone today.
Dan Murphy's Footy Finals catalogue is out now, and it's packed with unbeatable offers, like Stoneleigh Sauvignon Blanc only $8.70 in it, 1 litre bottles of Smirnoff Red Label vodka just $46.90 each, and cases of Asahi Super Dry 330ml bottles for an $44.95. Pick up the catalogue in store or shop at danmurphys.com.au. Remember, nobody beats Dan. Enjoy responsibly. Catalogue valid till October 1st. Conditions apply.
Unlock more in the BMW 330i sedan. $1,000 worth of extras, including innovations package and free scheduled servicing for 5 years or 80,000 kilometres. Visit your BMW dealer today. Terms and conditions apply.
This is 5AA football.
Yeah, 10 minutes. This is before the bounce. Thanks to Buy Urban, Kimbo, Mark Bickley and Stephen Rowe. Final. Adelaide have not won a prelim final 1998, and the Cats haven't won one since 2011. As we mentioned before, a third of Geelong's players have won a premiership. One Crow has even played in an AFL Grand Final. There's some stats thanks to Balfours, and we'll have more stats right throughout the night.
Let's get big subs for the forward line of the Cats. You'll have Hawkins, Dangerfield, Stanley, Cockatoo, Menzel. Punt will probably do the negating role on lead. At some stages, Harry Taylor will be down there as well. Bix, give them to me.
Well, I think Dangerfield in the middle of the ground, so I think Taylor will start on the big fella Hawkins. When they're deep, they generally have played a lot on each other. You mentioned the other tools.
Stanley?
Stanley, I think it'll be someone like Hartigan, if he's got the speed to go with Stanley. Depends on whether Stanley, how deep he plays. He's most likely going to be deep, which means Hartigan will try and be back there.
But you think if Dangerfield does start Hartigan?
Yes, I do, and which means someone like Lever will just roll over onto Stanley. I think Parfitt might be being set on Rory Laird, trying to...
It's either him or Lang.
Yeah,
I agree.
make him accountable. Last week, Laird only had the 15 possessions. We know that De Boer did a reasonable at Adelaide, just dominant over the ground. The thinking for Chris Scott would be, you know what, Brodie Smith's not playing. The bloke that averages 30 disposals back and really rebounds for him is Laird.
Who goes to the back?
Take that out of him, out of Adelaide's arsenal, and it makes them a little bit...
Well, and it makes, I think, Brown important today. Now, there's not a real natural matchup. There never has been against... Geelong for Brown.
Forward, yeah.
So Brown is as use as there is. I think you've got to really see him, Bix, for mine. Really get on his plate some meat. Yeah. Really get going, get on the movement. You don't the blanket today, Brownie. This is a really good opportunity for him. Get some real offensive footy.
So will he be the designated kicker? I know he does it.
He's the second most. Yeah. He'll be doing nearly all of it.
Well, this is how they do it. If they can get the ball in quickly, whoever's closest just picks the ball up, and that's of kicking in is if you can get it in quickly before they get their setup set. That is the number one priority. Then if it's a slow one that goes over the fence, then they have a kicker. I think Brown has to play on Motlop. I reckon Motlop, as I said, if that genie gets out of the bottle, it's hard to put it back in. And he was the fire starter last week with Geelong. A couple of the things he did.
Or down the ground.
But he was up on the wing.
Yeah,
he wasn't forward
at all.
He'll
start. I think Brown might be the one to...
so he'll come up onto the wing.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure who'll be wing. I think he'll start somewhere a bit closer to goal.
Motlop will, last week. He played forward at all.
Yeah, well, I think he will. And I think Brown might do that. If not, like you said, Brown might be able to get on the end of that. That's the thing that worries me. Seedsman, if they had a chance to have a loose, they would pick Seedsman because he can kick it, because whilst he has high efficiency, he's not one that... He needs 3 or 4 steps to get set and then to be able to peel it off. I think they'll say, you know what, down on someone with Brown, and if we can choose someone to be spare and loose and take over from Brodie Smith, I think Paul Seedsman is...
Now, this will sound silly. You know how much meterage that Brodie Smith gives. Adelaide has lost that. But you also lose about 270 metres if he's getting his 20-odd possessions. You lose on every kick, even with the ball coming back in compared to Lukey Brown. It might sound a silly little thing, but 10 to 15
it's
metres,
big.
it's huge.
But here's
Gets
the
you
thing,
into
there.
back. I know.
He ain't there.
I tell you who is here, though.
Oh, no, tell me. Should I look around?
Look
Dare
around.
I look around?
He's got a suit on, too.
Oh, it's the stuff.
Looking more like Bill Nye than Bill Nye now.
You're 50 minutes late, mate.
They said after
50 minutes
No,
late.
they
6:15 you were meant to be.
But he told me 6:15. They said,
Welcome, Stud.
Welcome, Stud.
The text message said, "Can you drop up after 6?" I said, "Well, I've got to be
the AFL dinner.
Stud, it's as good as
which
gold.
is far more important than being."
Yeah, of course it is. Did you see my Jodie down there?
No, I didn't.
Could you look out for it? Lonely. She's on her Pat Malone.
Who's she? Which table is she?
She's with Nat Medhurst. So, if you want to...
former Thunderbird.
Oh, absolute star.
Well,
thank you. Hey, you're looking sharp.
You just had to. You have to wear a
jacket.
A jacket. So I've got.
Well, you look sharp. Nervous? Are you excited?
You're always nervous.
Paint me a picture, Stud. Calm me down, Stud. You're the one.
I've got side into the Geelong tactics.
Oh, please share.
Mitch Duncan will charge off the back of the square through the centre like that. What do they call it? The bullet or the ball? So watch him do that.
Be the extra spare. He did that last week. Yep.
Charge through.
Yep.
Where'd you get Stud?
Somebody's mates of a mate.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Wait and see what happens.
Okay, well, give us something else. He's got to have given you more than that. He did that all last week.
I'll take it. No, well, no, I can't give you.
Oh, he doesn't.
Tell us what you do as a coach. We've had some disagreements up here. Would you send Riley Knight to Selwood again?
Yeah, I would. It worked last time.
I agree with him.
Yeah. I liked Mark's, it was yours, Rowe's idea of starting Rory Sloane forward.
Just at some stage.
Well, given the fact he's going to... And tags have been effective on... So, let's see if he can outrun the tag if he gets into the game. Let's see how the game opens. You'll know within 5 minutes how it's going to go. If there's intense pressure around the ball, if they're winning the hard contested ball, which they've done all year. They are the number one teams to ball. But
got confidence in that.
But they've been vulnerable. They were vulnerable in the early part of the year. I think they've been much better the second half. So if they win the ball in the centre and feed the forward line, the Andy Otten move is intriguing.
Well, he's forward. We're told he's forward. It's a 1-for-1.
Well, I think that's what they've done. I wasn't surprised they did it, but I would have been looking for ground level pressure rather than.
Well, Bix was the same. We spoke to Doc Clark and we asked him specifically about that, the aerial contest above the ground ball pressure.
Well, when the ball hits the ground and those Geelong defenders run out, don't say this.
And that's exactly what...
It's a tough one because Geelong took 22 intercept marks last week. So the other thing they don't want... This is why I think that McGovern is... I'll just use that word again, Rowie. He's the most natural aerialist in the forward line, and he takes the contest, and he is able to jump really freely, and he creates a contest and brings the ball to ground. Jenkins and Walker aren't that. They like to be body and wrestle, and they like to do it one-on-one. Now, they don't want to take away that to try and then force them to do the contest. So they say, you know what, if Otten can just hold up and can bring the ball to ground, it still leaves us with Jenkins creating some one-on-one. He's Walker to be able to get higher up the ground. We don't have to disrupt those other players.
All year they've done it, Stud. The three talls, the three smalls.
I hope I'm wrong, but that's the instinctive way I would have shaped up. But the Geelong defence is going to... What are they going to do?
He warmed up with all the defenders, so it looks like
he'll swing.
Stud, tell us this, with all your years of experience, Crows players just go off the ground now for their spell before re-emerging. We're trying to work out what type of game this will be. We know conditions are perfect. Adelaide have averaged over the last 4 years 106 points per game, but when they play Geelong, it is only 7.
It's going to be
down by 5. So you expecting...
I'm expecting a scrap. In fact, if I was... if you're coaching the team, you would say, boys, this is going to be tough.
So 80 points could win the game.
It's going to be contest after contest after contest, and you're going to have to stay in it till the very last second. And if you can get a break, that's good.
See, I think first to 100 wins. I've got a feeling at time on in the third quarter, round 18, I know I keep going back to that game. Crows were 40 points up. Good a team as they could put out each.
But remember, we queried Geelong's tactics that day.
Well, you don't reckon they played all their cards?
Didn't tag Sloane, did that
crack in his foot after the Hawthorn game.
It's a puzzling coaching performance.
Okay.
Now,
remember, you did.
It's a big call to say, look, he was there, thought he's going to keep his cards dry for when they meet in the finals, because
he's not Nostradamus.
He was top 4.
You couldn't possibly foresee that, but I don't think you're going to see the same Geelong.
So, Bix, would you take 100 now?
Oh, absolutely.
Crows kick 100, they win.
Well, 98% of the time, if you get to 100 first.
Would you take 90?
Well, I feel like, I think Don Pike, there's a stat around that out of his 5 lowest scores that he's had since he's been coaching Adelaide, 4 Geelong.
Yep.
So the history says that the way they play a deep defender and the way they get their numbers back quick and try and then springboard up the other way, I feel like they don't kick a whole huge amount of score the other way, which means they leave the opposition on. But I just feel like, why would we expect anything different? Add to that the fact that it is a final, and generally the first 10 minutes is just going to be a scrap. Both teams barrelling in. So I reckon it'll be 2 goals to 3 at quarter time, and that'll be a great result for Adelaide.
Just paint a picture. This is Adelaide home final, a massive stake. The state needs this win.
The only thing you can call on is history, and over the history of South Australian footy, when we've had a truly representative team, be it a state of origin, early Crows, be it the late Crows, when we've had special games at home, the crowd has brought a special energy to the stadium, and the players have lifted that.
Yep.
And
I'm hearing you.
Their intensity.
State of origin games.
Yeah. Well, it's the same deal, really. They know they're representing the state, even though
of course they do.
They know they're representing the state. The state is behind them.
Do you really feel that? I don't feel that at all. I
do.
Well, I think that Rory Sloane thinks that he's representing South Australia tonight. I don't think that Cole Hartigan does either. I think that surely is bigger than the state, because the state is 40% of Port Adelaide and other teams, isn't it? Sure.
No, the state is the club is.
You reckon?
I think you can draw that energy.
So where's Port Adelaide and all the other?
Port Adelaide have got their own tribe. Yeah. They know they're a different breed. They know.
So they don't represent South Australia?
They do. Of course they do.
They represent
Bix, when you were leading up, you didn't walk down the street or you went down to get a coffee and get stopped by every person.
Yeah, but that was when
like the state...
Port Adelaide were 1 year old then, and Adelaide had been a team since the start of it. I feel like now...
Let's say there's 700,000 or 800,000.
I know what you're saying.
This is Adelaide.
Yeah.
This is Adelaide. Adelaide is watching you. Adelaide is behind you. Adelaide will lift you.
Yeah.
You've got to reward them. I mean, there's no doubt.
So is Richmond Victoria then?
Not particularly, no, because Richmond, again, is its own tribe, and everyone, if you don't barrack for Richmond, you're absolutely ridiculing going on over there at the moment. Gillum McLaughlin at the dinner downstairs, it just said, look, he doesn't know what will be worse, Richmond winning or Richmond losing.
Oh, that's a great call.
And he said, given the fact that they're so used to losing, he says, I think losing better.
That's funny.
But umpire's just out onto the ground, and obviously we all hope that they don't play imp.
Just bullseye. It's a $200 Powers voucher. Every guest we've had on has to say who's the winner and the margin. Stud, your winner and margin.
I'm going for the Crows because I want them to win, and I don't want to be sitting here trying to justify my selection. So Crows by 14 points.
Oh, I'm going to have a heart attack. It's going to be Soldier down in the commentary box.
What a great game that'll be.
Yep.
If it's the Crows by 4 points, how
I've got them I reckon enough so it's not too uptight. You're a kick and a half away.
I want to taste Dangerfield's tears. I just want to taste them.
No, well, I hope we don't boo him. To be quite frank.
I think they'll cheer him. But
they did before.
But isn't that part of the atmosphere?
He's happy with it.
He responds to it.
That's why you don't.
I don't want him to do it.
The old Steve Waugh red rag.
He lifts.
All right, I'll check the one. We've got to take We've got to take a break. This one gets underway in about 18 minutes' time. Stud, thanks for joining us.
Love your work, mate.
Has anyone else said you look like Bill Nye? Out of Love Actually.
I think Michael Pratt used to tell me I look like Bill.
Good actor.
Yeah, can you
saw him in a movie?
Funny.
Yeah, I do. If you had it in
sing a bit of that song.
What's that song? How's it go? What's the song again?
It was Love Is All. No, not Love.
Give us your best English accent.
I feel it in
Have a look. He does. Good on you, Stud.
All right. It's a funeral. Wrong. Yeah, wrong. No, this is before the bounce with a little bit of Studley, thanks to Buy Urban.
Before the bounce, thanks to Fiveaa stunning bathrooms and kitchens, plus a stunning range of timber floors at buyurban.com.au. We create imagination. This is Fiveaa Finals Football.
Ryan Fitzy Fitzgerald joins the 5AA show every Friday morning from 8:30.
What time are you getting into town? Getting in this afternoon, so I don't have much time. Huey's coming down. I'm in Melbourne at the moment, unaccompanied minor. He's by himself, and he'll probably pick up a couple of girls on the flight and bring them down as well.
Invest in Vale Park from just $74 a week with tips. tipsolutions.com.au on 1395 Adelaide's 5AA.
Galippo Foods has once again been voted as the #1 food service distributor in Australia. That's 3 times 4 years. Galippo Foods has taken out #1 in Australia. The only company to achieve this so many times. What an incredible result, Australia, and a South Australian-owned company. Galippo would like to thank all their wonderful staff, loyal customers and valued suppliers. You're a big part of an incredible achievement. Galippo and SA have done it again. You beauty, South Australia.
You're welcome, son. Don't mention it.
Okay, Dad, what are you talking...
I just took out funeral insurance, so you won't have to worry about anything. And now, neither do I.
Thanks, Dad.
Look a family with Australian Seniors Funeral Insurance. And we'll look after you with premiums reducing by 5% every 5 years. Visit seniors.com.au to Australian Seniors Insurance Agency, the over-50s insurance specialist.
Seniors.com.au.
If you change your cover, your premium will be affected. Always check the bid by Hanover Life Re of Australasia Limited. T's and C's apply.
Mike Keelan here. I'm joined by the lovely Roxanne from Lifestyle SA. Roxanne, knack of making everything clear.
Well, I think it is important that our prospective purchasers have clear information about what we're all about. And yes, we do offer a lifestyle. I think it is important for people to know very quickly exactly what's it all about. Probably takes 5 minutes for them to understand the whole set of living in a retirement village. Moving in, maintenance fees and so on, and moving out.
5 minutes on the phone and we'll make it clear.